Okay, we're back with the dreaded double passage, and it's a horrible topic. No, it's not horrible, it's just a topic. Nothing's horrible, it should be dreaded because you're not used to it yet, but hey, you'll get used to it. Now, we're going to try to make some inferences here and try to see what we can figure out. The passage is about what? The following adaptations of those two passages from late 20th century works offer perspectives. So people's opinions on the work of Carl Linnaeus, who's a botanist. And that's how long he was alive, which is, if you think about it, a long time back then. 71 years? Damn. And he taught at the University of Uppsala in Sweden. Who cares? Now, let's just think about this for a second. Okay, time's up. Just kidding. All right, we got this guy Linnaeus. Let's figure out, we got to figure out he does work. And he's a botanist, but what the fuck does he do? Okay? Let's look at the first sentence. Maybe we can figure out what he does here. Okay? Linnaeus' enormous and essential contribution to natural history. Okay, here we go. He made an enormous and essential contribution. So passage 1 thinks Linnaeus is the man. Okay? Was to do what? Devise a system of classification whereby any plant, any fucking plant, any frickin' animal could be identified and slotted into an overall plan. Slotted in. Okay, so there's little slots here. Now, let's think about it. Let's say we're going to devise a system of classification. Okay? And we're going to do primates. Okay? So, what do we do? Who's going to be at the top? Come on. There's going to be a top here. Man is at the top. Then you got maybe what? The orangutan, apes, spider monkeys, chimpanzees, right? So you're going to have a kind of hierarchy. This is obvious. You have to. Everything can't be parallel, because that would be like one long list. You got to have things branching off of certain things. Okay? So we're going to have a frickin' hierarchy, guaranteed. Think about it. You have to have this hierarchy. Now. Previous naturalists, and Linnaeus himself, when he was a young lad, had tried to name species by enumerating all the species' distinguishing features. Okay, so what are they going to say? This is kind of wrong, isn't it? Okay? No. Yet, the intervention of a system of nomenclature is what? Naming. Vital as it has come to seem, was trivial by comparison with Linnaeus' main achievement. Here it is. They're going to explain it. Devising a classification system for all organisms so that scientists no longer had to list every species individually. You know, I don't understand this, what the fuck's going on here, but I know what do we know? We know that he did something so scientists no longer have to list every species individually. Okay? So I guess, you know, when they talk about primate, maybe, I'm going to guess here, because I'm no Linnaeus guy and I ain't no anthropologist or a biologist or botanist. But if you say primates, then maybe you're talking about a general term that covers all these general qualities of a species, okay? So you don't have to do that shit, okay? And actually I see it, trait association, traits by association, there you go. Kind of like primates. Linnaeus himself would probably have been the first to admit that classification is only a tool and not the ultimate purpose of biological inquiry, okay? Unfortunately, this is important, this truth was not apparent to his immediate successors, okay? And what does it say at the end? The facts with which these naturalists were most concerned were those bearing on the description and classification of species. Okay, so we know what that first one is about. And now we know what Linnaeus is doing here, right? He's allowing people to come up with these general terms that covers a multitude of species. A multitude of species within species, kind of. I don't know, genus, whatever. A few years ago, I stood in a historically, this is very personal, because it's a neat Neat. That's kind of weird. Little 18th century garden formerly divided by gravel walks with a small wooden house in one corner where the garden's owner had once lived. So, he stood in a garden. Now, let's look at the last sentence here. For all its air of gentle peace, this garden is closer to an explosion whose reverberations continue to resonate inside the human brain. It is a place where an intellectual seed landed and has now grown to a tree that shadows the entire globe. Again, this is about Linnaeus. We know that. Okay, so Linnaeus is like the man here too. I'm a heretic about Linnaeus. What's a heretic? Somebody who goes against the main belief. I do not dispute the value of the tool he gave natural science, but am wary about the change it has affected in humans' relationships. Is there a spelling error? Yeah, it should be an A. It's actually spelled this way in the passage, but I think it should be an A. Because what? Effect is a noun, affect is the verb. From Linnaeus on, much of science have been devoted to providing specific labels to do this. Okay. Modern humans have come to adopt a scientific view of the external world as a way of understanding their everyday experience in it, yet blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right. So we got a good idea just by reading like the first sentences of paragraphs of what this whole thing is going to be about. Now, again, when we have a double passage, we're going to agree. Two of them are going to agree on what? More general things like topic and things like that, and maybe contrast or disagree a little bit on issues and details. Let's look at this. In the first paragraph of passage 1, the attitude of the author toward Linnaeus' legacy is one of, well, here we got the two negatives, we got the positives. That's our first thing, because attitude, okay? Let me use my 11th finger here. Attitude. What is nostalgia? Like you remember the past fondly. How about appreciation? He's good. Delight, woohoo, a little strong. Bafflement, what the? Resentment, screw that, okay? Understand? So, Linnaeus. I think we can get rid of these. I don't think it's going to be negative toward Linnaeus. Linnaeus was a great man, okay? So let's take a look. Linnaeus' enormous and essential contribution to natural history was to devise this, where anything could be done. Okay? Let's see what's in this conclusion. When it rains, it pours. What does he say? Linnaeus himself would probably have been the first to admit that classification is only a tool. Well, basically, let's look at the question again. And just look in your book. I'm not going to flip back. In the first paragraph, aha. So we don't need to look anywhere else. In the first paragraph, he talks about how great Linnaeus is. Okay? Does he remember back and go, well, those times with Linnaeus were great? No. Delight is either appreciation. We know, I love this word, appreciation. I can appreciate what you've done for me, meaning think positively of it and be thankful to a degree. Delight, a little bit strong here, fellas and gals and fellas, guys and dolls, ladies and germs. All right, I'm going to try not to break any more chalk during this lesson. I swear to God that I'm going to try to not break any chalk. That means like nothing.